Hi everybody, my name is Danielle Nicole and welcome to Monetary Makeup. Alright, I have a ton of new goodies to review for you guys today, from drugstore to luxury to high-end. And some of those products include the new Makeup by Mario Skin Enhancer, the new Tarte Man Eater Blush and Glow, a new Colourpop Super Shock Highlighter, and definitely stay tuned because I think it might be a dupe for a luxury brand. And tons more, from Half Cake to Shot Mousse, Hourglass, It Cosmetics, you name it, we're trying it today. So as you can see, most of the products I'm going to be testing out today are creams, balms, some sort of liquid formula, other than the Colourpop Super Shock Highlighter. Now I thought for the topic of the day, we all could probably use a little laugh once in a while, so instead of going into any specific finance or insurance education, because of that background, I'm going to share with you some funny stories that we used to call funny field fiascos. So if you are as excited as I am to test out these new products, don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video while you're watching, and let's get started right now. Alright you guys, so I just broke my camera stand, so if it's a little off right now, I apologize. Definitely going to have to pick up a new one. So just to save time, I already have my brows done, and I'm actually doing another video today testing out two different Estee Lauder foundations, so definitely stay tuned for that video coming up soon. Alright, so most of the products that I'm going to be using in today's video are brand new or pretty new. However, I was in Ulta the other day, and two kind of classic products that I've never tried are the Hourglass Vanish Concealer and the It Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye. I know, I've been living under a rock, but I've never tested these out. So if you're already familiar with these concealers, feel free to skip ahead, but I am going to quickly apply these on camera just in case you haven't tried them out either. We are probably going to dip into the Mario Skin Enhancer next, but to get started for the two different concealers, in the Hourglass shade I have Creme or Creme, not sure which way it's pronounced, and in the It Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye I have the shade 11.5C. Ooh, okay. So the Hourglass concealer is actually a little bit more liquidy than I was expecting, which is interesting because I've heard this is a full coverage concealer. You know, it almost is reminding me of the new KVD Good Apple concealer, because that one is definitely full coverage, but it is a little bit thinner in consistency. So I always like to start off with a light amount, and then if I have to build up, I can definitely do that. Alright, good. I was worried that the shade Creme or Cream was going to be too dark for me, but it definitely is not. Looks like it is a good, fair, cool undertone. Oh yeah, that definitely has some coverage to it. Holy cow. I usually don't wear this much concealer, but I just wasn't expecting it to have that much coverage. Wow. Okay, so I honestly was hoping I wouldn't like this concealer just because of the price tag, but it looks beautiful. I feel like my under eyes look flawless. Now, I do usually get a little bit of creasing in that area, and you know, there's not really any concealer that doesn't crease at least a little bit on me, and I feel like for most people, but wow, this looks absolutely beautiful. Alright, I am actually blown away at how good that Hourglass concealer looks. Let me know what you guys think, but next let's go in with the It Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye. Sorry guys, I realized I forgot to show you swatches first. So the one right here is Hourglass in the shade Cream or Creme, and this is It Cosmetics in the shade 11.5C. Alright, so I just dipped my sponge in a little bit of the It Cosmetics, so let's see how this one does next. Alright, wow. Both of these definitely have full coverage for sure, but I feel like neither look cakey. And I pretty much always use a damp sponge for application, just because if you're new here, I'm in my mid-30s and I have oily, dehydrated, acne-prone skin. So I do get a little bit of dehydration around my nose, mouth, and also under eyes. Alright, well the It Cosmetics also blended out very nicely. Now as far as the texture goes, the It Cosmetics is definitely a little bit thicker in consistency. The Hourglass is a little bit more runny, almost like the new KVD Good Apple Concealer as I just mentioned. whereas I feel like It Cosmetics is a little bit more similar to Tarte Shape Tape, just as far as texture goes. But wow, I mean, what under eyes? I feel like that covered up all my sins and more. All right, you guys, well, I'm dying to test out the new Makeup by Mario Skin Enhancer. So this is basically a cream bronzer with a different name. However, it's supposed to have a little bit more sheer of a formula. So of course, this is a cream, and the shade I picked up is light medium. Now, it's interesting because when you look in the pan, it almost looks like it has pores in there, which is just something to note. So let me do a swatch for you guys. All right, super excited. I decided to go with the shade light medium. I'm just really happy to not see orange or anything too warm. So many bronzers I test out, they just look straight up yellow or orange, so hopefully this will be a good shade. Let's go in with a brush from Rose and Ben. This is the brush C41. All right, so let's coat those bristles. I think I'm going to stamp it on the forehead just to get started. Ooh, holy cow. All right, that has a little bit more pigment than I was expecting. I mean, it definitely is a sheer formula, but it's not totally sheer. There is definitely pigment there. Wow, this is looking really natural. Once you start blending it into the skin, really is melting really nice. Interesting, so that appeared to have quite a bit of pigment on the forehead, but now that I've blended it out, what do you guys think? I think it looks pretty natural. All right, I just had to put the bangs back down, otherwise they will stick straight up for the rest of the day. But I just realized I was so excited to apply this product that I didn't give you any details about this product. So I will put the price up on the screen, and you get 5 grams or 0.18 ounces. All right, let's do the cheekbones next. I'm gonna pick up a little bit less product this time. So I'm kind of using this as a cream bronzer. Now, he did mention that you can use this product like a balm, but none of the shades are light enough for me to do that, so I just kind of want to use it to warm up the skin. All right, I am loving this so far. I was worried it was going to be a little bit greasy. Not that it felt super greasy in the pan, but it is such a thinner formula that it did have a little bit of an oily feeling. But now that it is applied to the skin, I don't feel like it looks super greasy or anything like that. And the shade is definitely more pigmented than I was expecting. Now, it could just be because I am so fair. Perhaps on someone who has a light to medium skin tone, it may not show up on them as it did on me. But wow, this looks so natural. What do you guys think? No bronzer? Bronzer. All right, pick up a little bit more for the right cheek. This brush is working out beautifully. Wow, this product, you know, it really blends right into the skin. I'm really not having to do much blending. I'm just kind of placing the product down and tapping it out a bit, and voila, I'm done. All right, I'm loving how this is looking so far. So I'm going to build this up just a little bit more. Now, as far as the shade goes, it definitely is not a super warm tone. Now, I wouldn't say it's a super cool tone per se. You know, when I think of a true cool tone, I really envision a product to have a little bit of gray in it. This does not, so it definitely does warm up the skin. Kind of similar to the Charlotte Tilbury, her new cream bronzer, that shade. So anyways, so I feel like the shade is working out beautifully for my fair to light cool undertone. What do you guys think? All right, so initial impressions about this Mario Enhancer. You guys, this is freaking beautiful. I absolutely love it. Now, not only did it blend and melt seamlessly into the skin, but I feel like that entire clip of me using this brush to apply the product, it was like 1 minute long. And that's just because all I had to do was really set it down. I really didn't have to do a ton of blending. In fact, I didn't do any blending. I just kind of laid the product down and then I was done. It definitely does have a dewy, fresh finish. Now, it's interesting because when I did the swatch, It almost felt a little bit oily. So I was a little bit worried that it was going to kind of look greasy on the application, but I don't think it looks that way. You guys are going to have to let me know. But I don't find it's emphasizing any of my texture, any of my breakouts, anything like that. And it didn't pick up any of my foundation underneath. All right, now I'm kind of bummed that I didn't pick up the Skin Perfector, which is basically a powder that you can layer over this or kind of highlight and set the skin. So I might end up going back and picking that up too. All right, next we need to talk about these candy paints from Half Cake. If you've been following me for a while, you know I am obsessed with this formula. So Half Cake has these candy paints, such a tongue twister, but they come in highlighters, blushes, as well as bronzers. Now these are very pigmented, and even though they have a very dewy, fresh finish, these suckers last all day. They do not budge. So here's what the shade Angel looks like swatched out on the skin. Now normally I would apply these to the cheeks, but I do have a blush that I want to go in with from Tarte. So I just applied a little bit of Angel to the lips. So this is one of those products or formulas, I should say, that are marketed for both the cheeks and the lips. Now, a lot of the times they don't work well on the lips, but this is a formula I definitely love also applied to the lips. All right, so next, a little while back, Tarte released these Man-Eater Blush and Glow Cheek Plumps, and I picked up the shade. It's just called Pink. So let me show you what this looks like swatched out. So it has a doe foot applicator. Has a little bit of a smell. I don't think it has a fragrance, but there's just a hint of something there. Now what's interesting is this almost looks like a lip gloss. As far as the formula goes, can you see that? It reminds me just like a lip gloss. So I'm just going to use what is on the back of my hand here. That way we don't do any wasting. And I have a damp sponge, so let's try that first. So you guys, I've kind of figured something out about my makeup application, and I just wanted to share it with you in case any of you also struggle with this. So hopefully you can see I have a lot of discoloration here, and one of the things that I've noticed that I do is I take my bronzer and blush up to this area. I need to stop doing that. I purposely did not do that on this side, just kind of kept it a little bit more down. And can you see the difference how I still have my natural skin peeking through, whereas on this side I feel like I took the color up too high. So definitely going to start doing it this way. All right, we are definitely 4 for 4 so far. Really like this formula. It's a very creamy formula. It reminds me of a lip gloss, as I mentioned when I swatch it out. I love the shade. Leaves a nice healthy glow on the cheeks, and it didn't remove any of my foundation. You know, the one thing I wish this Mario enhancer had was a mirror, but it's okay. We don't need a mirror on every single product, but they're just helpful when you are filming. So I'm just taking a BK Beauty brush, and let's apply this to the eyes and just do a quick monochromatic look. All right, take a little bit underneath the eye. All right, this applied a beautiful wash of color just as expected on the eyes. So what do you guys think? All right, so I have 2 different highlighters for you guys. So the first one is from Shop Miss A. These are the AOA Studio Dewy Cream Highlighters. Now these are $1 or $1.55, I believe, but definitely do not let the price sway or influence you. These are an amazing formula. So I finally was able to get my hands on the shade Opal. This must be the most popular shade, at least for fair to light skin tones. So it has that opalescent shift to it. So I'm going to apply this to the cheekbone. Such an easy formula to work with, and these do not have a super dewy finish. So if you have oily skin, this might actually be a cream that you enjoy. Oh, I just love how these look on the skin, and I don't know how they donate to charity and make these products for $1 or under $2. All All right, so I stumbled across the newest collection of Colourpop at Ulta. Now, Colourpop releases so many collections. Now, their newest one, I keep wanting to call it their beach collection. It's not that, it's something else, but it's the newest one they just released. So I didn't pick up anything from the collection just because I probably have those shades 10 times over. But they did come out with new Super Shock cheek highlighters. So I picked up the fairest shade, which is called Flip Flop. So when you put your finger into the pan, kind of indents, almost like a putty formula. But take a look at that sheen. Isn't that beautiful? Now this definitely does lean a little bit more on the warm gold side. But you know, I like to step outside of my cool comfort zone once in a while. So let's give this highlighter a try. You know, it's a very natural highlight. I was kind of expecting it to be a little bit too kind of goldy for my skin tone. You know that one Fenty has? That one's like straight up gold. This doesn't look like that. It has kind of a nice champagne hue to it. What do you guys think? So I am curious if this Colourpop highlighter is going to be a dupe for the Pat McGrath the Bridgerton highlighter in the shade Incandescent 002. I don't know, you guys. I don't think they're identical on the swatches, but I do feel like they're close enough. But let's see how they apply to the skin. So my middle finger right here, this is the Colourpop, and this is the Pat McGrath 002. All right, so I'm going to pick up a little bit on my brush here. Now with this formula, because it's not a Super Shock cheek, I do go in with a brush. Now these definitely pack a punch. So I'm expecting the Pat McGrath to have more color payoff, but if you build up the Colourpop, I just wanted to see. Now this would be beautiful when you have a tan going on, either of these, honestly. But okay. So Incandescent Gold 002. We do the weird contorting my head again versus the Colourpop. You know what, you guys? Does the Pat McGrath have a little bit more sheen to it? Definitely. But I feel like these shades are so similar. I don't feel like you would be able to tell. I have two different highlighters on. What do you guys think? All right, so here's my thoughts. I would never want to take away from the original artist. Is this highlighter worth it? 100%. I absolutely love this formula. It's that jelly-like texture, so it just provides such a beautiful luminosity to the skin. That said, if you can get a similar look, I believe this was 10 bucks, so 10 versus 60, then I say go for it. Why not? All right, well, I'm so excited. I feel like that is definitely a dupe. Not identical, but feel like it is close enough to justify the price saving. So next, let's move on to the topic of the day. All right, so working in the finance and insurance agency, pre-COVID, pre-pandemic, we used to always meet our clients in their home. A lot of them were over 65. For some of them, it was difficult to travel, so we just found it was easier to meet them in their home, sometimes at a coffee shop or something like that, but usually it was in their home. So I have met with hundreds, if not thousands of people. We all come from so many different walks of life, and I'm so grateful for those experiences. I have learned so much from all the different people that I've met. I have learned so much. So overall, typically had a very positive experience, and there is certainly no judgment from me. That said, when you work in the industry for so many years and you meet with folks in their home, sometimes you run into certain situations that sometimes give you a little chuckle. So that said, I will never forget this particular day, because instead of being scheduled with another agent, I was actually scheduled to go in the field with my boss this day. And I was really excited to go in the field with my boss at the time, just because she had been in the field for so many more years than I had, so I knew I was going to learn a ton from working with her this day. So Mary and I get out to the house and we just introduce ourselves. The couple was so sweet. They had a beautiful home. So we go get set up in the kitchen with our laptops. So at the time, Mary was sitting across from me and the couple was sitting on the opposite side of the table. So the wife was on my left side, the husband was on my right. So we start to go over some of the information, and I noticed that the husband starts to scoot closer and closer to Mary. Now at the time, I really didn't think much of it. I just assumed that he was really interested in the information that we were discussing, and maybe he wanted to really go over some details right next to Mary. So you know how sometimes when you go online, there's certain ads that come up? Well, sometimes those ads can, I don't want to say they look super inappropriate, but sometimes they can have that assumption, right? So I'm noticing that the husband starts to talk to Mary kind of in her ear, and then all of a sudden I hear, "Oh yeah, click on that one, the one of the naked chick." And of course I stop what I'm talking about. I look up directly at Mary and the husband, and he's going, yeah, you know, all you have to do is type it into the browser and click on the naked chick. Now, obviously, she wasn't on any sort of inappropriate site. It was just an ad for like Match or something like that. So he kept hounding her to basically look up PORN at the time. And I remember feeling so uncomfortable, but I felt so bad for Mary. I mean, the look on her face, she just looked like she was mortified. So of course, Mary and I tried to turn around the conversation, get it back to business. And you know, it was so awkward because the wife was sitting right there and he wasn't trying to be hush hush about it. Not that I'm condoning that, but I just remember being so uncomfortable in that situation and not really knowing what to do. So he kept trying to get Mary to click on that Match ad or whatever it was at the time, but he was insinuating something different. But anyways, after that, we tried to get back on topic and we finally did. So at that point, we were kind of trying to expedite the process and speed things up. Just again, for your safety, you never really know what you could potentially be walking into. So we started to hurry up and we finally got to the end of the meeting. So he decides to follow us out to the car. So I start to walk around to the passenger side, and Mary was driving at the time. So she goes to get in her car, and the husband basically opens up the door, and he wasn't really preventing her from getting in the car, but he was preventing her from shutting the door. Oh my gosh, I completely forgot to mention. So another thing that he was mentioning when we were inside at the laptop, he kept mentioning, "Oh yeah, I really like women that have dark brown hair just like you." So the reason that's relevant is when he had his hand on the car and we go to leave, he goes, "You know, I really do like women with dark brown hair, you know." Now, to be clear, we never felt like we were in danger or anything like that. He clearly was just over the top flirting with Mary, but I will never forget that incident. So Mary goes to shut her door, and he's basically trying to sit on her lap and prevent us from leaving. And he was kind of laughing and joking about it. But I remember Mary looked at me and I was like, "Okay, Mary, we gotta go. We're gonna be late to our next appointment, so we need to go." So finally, you know, he ended up letting go of the car door, and we shut the door, started the car, turned around, got out of the driveway. And as soon as we got out, Mary looked straight at me and she goes, "What the was that?" And I was like, "I know, I think he just had a serious crush on you." So that is just one story of many that I have of being in the field with all these different people from different walks of life. Again, no judgment. It was just kind of a funny story that we'll never forget. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed that quick story. I will see you a little bit later for my final thoughts and the wear test. Hi everybody, so I just got home and my makeup has been on now for about 6 hours. So before I get into my final thoughts about all these products, let me first show you what my skin is looking like. All right, so let me move my hair back here. All right, so I first of all wanted to know that the Mario Skin Enhancer, I feel like that held on pretty well. I really wasn't sure what to expect as far as the longevity of the product, but I feel like after 6 hours, it's looking pretty good. Now, the one thing I am noticing, because remember I used 2 different concealers, so I do feel like they both held up pretty well, but I am noticing just a little bit more creasing on this side, which on this side I use the It Cosmetics Bye Bye. Whereas on the Hourglass side, I feel like there's hardly any creasing, just a little bit in the area that I typically have a little. Of course, my lips have faded off. As I mentioned, that formula doesn't last on the lips super long, but these candy paints, they definitely do last on the cheeks all day. So overall, I don't think there's anything I tried today that I didn't like. I do have to say the star of the show is definitely this new Mario Skin Enhancer. You guys, I absolutely love this product. I know there have been so many new cream bronzers released in the last few months, but this is definitely one to add to my list of favorites. All right, well, absolutely loved all of the products that I tried today. Now I'm dying to hear from all of you guys down below. Have you picked up any of these products? Have you tried them out? Is it a total pass for you? What's your skin type? Let us know all of your thoughts down below. All right, you guys, well, I do hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye, guys.